Ravens flock, happy Wednesday. It is October 23rd. Welcome inside the vault for a lunch hour live stream. I'm Bobby Trossett, as always, joined alongside Sarah Ellison. We are chocked full. And what if I told you, partner, that two things just came down the timeline within a matter of minutes that we didn't even have on our agenda? One definitely matches up with precisely what we're going to talk about right now, which is the excellent injury news that the Ravens received within the last few hours. But on top of that, Keaton Mitchell, Sarah, his process of coming back from last year's ACL injury. That's right. Jeff Za'darius just moments ago of The Athletic tweeting out that the Ravens are planning for Keaton, who's been sidelined since sustaining that major knee injury last December, is going to start his 3-week practice window this week, according to Jeff's sources. Mitchell has been on the PUP list to start off this year. So that is that. On top of that, Sarah, for a fourth week in a row, a Baltimore Raven has been named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. I think they enjoy sending these out the second we start our shows
at noon
on Wednesdays. But Lamar Jackson, unsurprisingly, is your AFC Offensive Player of the Week. It's gone week 4, Derrick Henry, week 5, Lamar, week 6, back to the King, and now week 7, Lamar. So 4 straight weeks, 4 straight wins, 5 straight, and they are there's a lot happening right now.
There's a lot happening.
Let's just say that.
Let's talk about Keaton first, since that's the breaking hot news right now. And by the way, I see you guys saying that this shirt is tough. I'm going to explain to you how you can win this in just a moment. Okay. But Keaton Mitchell, first of all, the Baltimore Sun reporting was correct. Good for them. We've referenced it a few times on the show. We just finished week 7. It's October. The Baltimore Sun said around after week 6. We just finished week 7. It is October. What's the date today? October 23rd. And the 3-week window begins. I don't imagine he'll be back within the first or second week. So we're talking November. Bobby, Keaton Mitchell, if all goes well, we just saw that with Mollett, he had a bit of a setback, right? And it wasn't even with his injury that he was out for, but he had a setback with the hamstring. If there were no setback, you're telling me in November, we're going to add Keaton Mitchell to this mix? And it might take a minute to figure out how it's all going to come together and who's going to get what snaps, but that's a good problem to have. I believe Todd Monken will figure out this quote-unquote problem to add Keaton Mitchell into the mix with the King and Justice Hill. So absolutely excellent news for the Ravens on offense. While other teams are out there making trades right now, some of the Ravens' big playmakers are coming back.
Unreal. Yeah. So again, within a matter of minutes, 3 different pieces of news items has come down the timeline, all 3 of which are either directly involved with the Ravens or indirectly, but will matter coming up this weekend. The third that we have not mentioned is Kevin Stefanski, Browns head coach, making it clear just a few minutes ago that Jameis Winston is going to start under center for the Cleveland Browns coming up in this week 8 matchup for the Ravens to face off with the Browns coming up on Sunday. So again, Lamar is your AFC Offensive Player of the Week. Keaton Mitchell's return could be imminent, at least beginning the process of returning this week. And Jameis Winston, not Deshaun Watson because of the Achilles, and not Dorian Thompson-Robinson because he's banged up as well, is going to be starting for the Cleveland Browns. Should we let everybody know the special nature of what's potentially in play here from a giveaway standpoint before we dive into the actual excellent news? I mean, those are excellent pieces of news.
Those are excellent news. It's just what we hadn't planned on. But yeah, let's dive into it.
Exactly. So yeah, before we get into the excellent injury news, just so everybody knows, we're going to tell you more about this later on in the show. But we're excited to be working with Homage, which is a merch, retro Ravens gear company, apparel company.
NFL.
And not just Ravens, but you can be eligible for a free Homage Ravens t-shirt, okay, like Sarah's wearing right now, for example. Show that sucker off. By doing the following
this is
steps.
My favorite, bro.
Essentially.
Angry runs with Derrick Henry. Come on now. Everybody needs this t-shirt. Come on.
Look at you. You're rocking it. It
I'm
suits
so happy with it on right now. I feel angry with it on in the most positive way possible.
In order to be eligible for one of those suckers, 1, subscribe to the vault if you haven't already. Like this video if you haven't already. Leave a super chat comment. It can be as little as $1.99. Can go all the way up to what you so choose. And explore the Ravens gear that we have included as a pinned comment in the live chat. It's also in the show notes as well. They got a lot of great stuff up there, including some varsity jackets that I certainly am looking forward to checking those suckers out. So anyway.
So just to clarify, you can win any free t-shirt that you see. If you want to choose the Angry Runs from Derrick Henry, that's fine. But click on that link and you can go see all the different type of gear that they have. But so among those that are giving super chats today, Bobby and I will choose a winner among those that have the super chats that clicked on that link, subscribe to the show, and like this video. You have to do all of those things, and we will choose from those super chats today, along with those other requirements. We will choose who will get a free t-shirt by the end of the day.
Off we go. Thanks for being here. Already close to 1,000 concurrents joining us this afternoon. So thanks for being here as always. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily Ravens live content. And today happens to be centered around this from Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, who tweeted out earlier that Marlon Humphrey did not suffer a major knee injury last week, Sarah, in Tampa Bay. That is according to Ian's sources following some tests. He's walking around with little discomfort. After 2 picks last week, Humphrey's status is up in the air this week. I'm sure that'll be reflected in the upcoming practices. And time will tell how quickly he can recover. That according to Rap Sheet. But the big note over all of it, Sarah, is that obviously he avoided what looks to be disaster.
Absolutely. This is also excellent news. We saw this video yesterday. Let me mute it in just a second here. There we go. This kind of goes along with what we saw yesterday. This video that was circling the internet yesterday. Marlon Humphrey in the second half doing squats, testing that knee. So we had concluded like, hey, we don't know all the information. We don't have x-rays. We don't have access, but he didn't look like it was like going to be a season-long injury, right? With the way he was moving. Certainly ginger, but not a season-long ending injury. So this news right here goes along with that. He's walking around with little discomfort. That's great news. They did an MRI. Nothing major there. Bobby, this is huge news for the Ravens. Keaton Mitchell is going to be, at this point, icing on the cake within the run game. Marlon is the cake right now. He might be one of only a few pieces of cake on the defense that's working right now. Right now, PFF has him as the NFL's highest greatest cornerback over the past 2 weeks. All cornerbacks across the league. He is the highest graded. May have something to do with 2 picks last week before he left. But his grade over the last 2 weeks, 92.0. The next best graded cornerback, excuse me, is 83.2. That's how good Marlon has been. I want to read this little snippet from Ravens film study, Ken McCusick. He went through play-by-play everything, some of the big contributions that Marlon had before he went out with a knee injury last week. At the end of it, Ken McCusick says this: Marlon's plays on the ball this season have not only been critical in 2 of the last 3 wins, but they give more credence to the notion he'll be an outstanding safety when the time comes. Right now, he's headed for a Pro Bowl year at safety if he can stay on the field. I don't know if he means cornerback there. But Marlon Humphrey has been open to the idea of being a safety. And I think bringing that up the last 2 weeks, those two picks last week, Bobby, were completely him reading the quarterback's eyes. Just savvy veteran moves. Also on the second pick, he just held on to it after running into Nate Wiggins and held on to it with one hand against his face mask kind of / helmet there. So the Ravens need him. The Ravens have been on ice skates when it comes to stopping opposing quarterbacks. And the only thing that put a stop to it against Joe Burrow, and then this last week with Baker, was Marlon Humphrey coming up in very timely moments to turn the ball over and get the momentum on the Ravens side. So to say that he hasn't been lost this season, who knows if he'll be back this week, but to know that he will be back, that's music to my ears with the way this defense is playing.
Look at where he stands. I mean, it's undeniable that he's having a tremendous bounce back season after last year below his standards, both with performance and availability. But only Xavier McKinney in Green Bay has more interceptions than Marlon does with 5. Marlon tied with a couple other players for second in the entire league right now through 7 weeks with 4. So, and keep in mind too, this is a secondary that will potentially be getting Arthur Maulet back as well, which we'll reference a little bit later on this upcoming weekend in Cleveland. Sarah, it's been a jammed so far week just around the NFL, and we're still 2 weeks out. Yesterday was the 2-week timeline countdown to the trade deadline. It's November 5th, 4 p.m. Eastern, and yet you've already got blockbuster moves taking place, including one that came down the timeline early this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And look at where DeAndre Hopkins is heading. The Titans are finalizing a deal to send D-Hop to the Kansas City Chiefs in exchange for a 5th-round pick that could potentially become a 4th-round pick. Remember, Kansas City lost Rashee Rice. Kansas City lost Marquise Brown. And at least for this upcoming weekend, does not have Juju Smith-Schuster, so their wide receiver department has been decimated. Well, it just got a whole lot better, and I don't care if he's been below his standards, a quiet year, coming off injury, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it before, and we're going to see it again. Guys get reinvigorated when they go to Arrowhead, and I'm expecting very similarly with this move. Sarah, how about you?
I have a couple of takeaways from this, Bobby. Number one, I agree. I don't care that he hasn't been the all-pro DeAndre Hopkins of the past. You put him with, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are undefeated right now without anybody, without any big names, right? You pointed out the losses that they've already had. Their passing game is struggling, and yet they're undefeated. Of course, this is going to help them. Anybody that is screaming for Cooper Kupp to come to the Ravens, and we'll get to him in a minute because there's some rumors about him being on the trading block. Anybody that's screaming for Cooper Kupp, well, DeAndre Hopkins has been more available over the last 3 years. He's only a year older. You don't think that Patrick Mahomes can put this to use in great ways?
Think again if you don't.
You're like talking yourself into something. It's definitely going to help. Again, not all pro DeAndre, but it's going to help an undefeated Kansas City Chiefs team. That's number one. Number two, why the Titans feel like they want to give KC a little helping hand in three-peating, I do not understand. Obviously, we know that the Titans reportedly pulled out of a trade for Derrick Henry mid-season last year. I've heard rumors that it was for a 3rd-rounder. They didn't give the Ravens an upper hand last year, but they are doing it for DeAndre Hopkins, and obviously these guys are different. The King was drafted and was like a franchise face, so maybe they didn't want to let him go, but they ended up doing it anyway, and then they let him go for free. And whereas DeAndre Hopkins has been like there for a minute, so they're probably not as attached. But I would have preferred that an NFC try to help out the Chiefs rather than another AFC contender. So whatever, that is what it is. And
Tennessee's going to help his base salary as well.
Oh,
going to help Kansas City out from a payment standpoint on top. Yeah.
Great, Tennessee. Great. Yep. Wonderful. But I tweeted this morning. This is my third takeaway. And it's not just Hopkins. It has to do with other trades. Bobby, the Ravens lead the NFL in offensive yards, rushing yards, points per game, overall points, whatever you want, and red zone scoring. You cannot tell me that these trades, Devontae Adams to the Jets, Amari Cooper to the Bills, and DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs, is completely unrelated to the Ravens' offensive success. Now, let me be clear to all the Chiefs fans and other fans that are in my mentions this morning, there's no word in here that says that it's entirely, these moves are entirely about the Ravens or they're solely about the Ravens. And this is no knock to any of these guys. How many press conferences have I sat through over the years where I've heard front office officials saying, yeah, we make moves with the AFC North in mind. We have to win the AFC North first. This is a physical, tough, brutal division. The Ravens make moves with that in mind. The Ravens also make moves with in mind AFC contenders. You cannot tell me that the Derrick Henry acquisition had nothing to do with the Chiefs. How many reports did we hear that Henry will make it so that the Ravens don't forget about running the ball? Okay, even though they did a little bit neglect him in that week 1 thing, or that week 1 game.
13 carries for 46 yards.
But this is normal NFL business. You don't just randomly make moves because you feel good about it. Yes, of course, the Chiefs are decimated at wide receiver. Of course, they needed somebody else, the Bills, after they let go of their number 1 guy. The Jets are absolutely desperate for sure. So it's not the only reason that these guys are making these trades, but 1000%. It's related to Baltimore. All these guys have different goals in mind. The Chiefs want a three-peat. The Jets want to take advantage of their time with Aaron Rodgers, and the Bills want to replace their number 1 guy. Spreading the ball around certainly wasn't enough against the Ravens. And so you have to think to yourself as a GM, I either have to stop the Ravens or I have to keep pace with the Ravens. Now, the Chiefs have slowed the Ravens down. They did it in week 1. And they did it in the AFC Championship game, both with and without Derrick Henry.
And several other times throughout the Lamar era.
Correct. So the Chiefs have a defense to do it, but this will certainly help them keep pace. These other guys, of course, they all want to keep pace with the Ravens. Again, it's not the only reason. There's other threats. There's other NFL teams. But 100% these moves are not, I mean, they are related to the Ravens and the way that they're able to move the ball right now. And you can't tell me otherwise. It for sure is impacted by the Ravens.
Well, particularly Buffalo after getting smacked by Baltimore, as we all remember on Sunday Night Football just a few weeks ago. Super chats are flying in, so I think it's a great time to tell everybody about what we have going on right now with Homage. It is a retro apparel company, not just Ravens merch. This is all scale NFL. They do great work. Sarah literally is rocking one of her Homage t-shirts right now. So show that one off just in case folks have just been popping on right now.
Derrick
I'm going to take you to the
Angry
site.
Runs, baby.
Oh, yeah. Take you to the site, and here's what they have going on. There's just a slew of different options all throughout the site. I know I own this crew neck from last year's playoff run.
I just got
That's
that one
super comfortable. Yeah, you did as well. Mine actually is being ordered to upstate New York at the moment, so I'll be rocking mine at some point. The crew necks, I'm definitely partial to the crew necks. Not this time of year. Later on in the season, I just love them. This thing's slick right here.
Yeah,
this
like
long sleeve tee. But anyway, so what we have going on for you as a subscriber, as a viewer of ours, is a giveaway, and so you can be eligible for an Homage T-shirt of no charge, okay, if you do the following things. I saw a couple people trying to differentiate what we meant, clarify what we meant. One, you got to subscribe to the Vault. If you already are, great. You'll just verify it in the email if you win. Like this video. Same thing. You'll verify it with a screenshot in the email that you send to us if you win after this show. 2, leave a super chat comment. Could be $1.99, doesn't have to be any kind of comment. It could just literally be a super chat. Has to be a super chat. And 3, just explore the Ravens gear that we're showing you right now up on the screen at Homage by clicking on the link that's at the top of the show notes, and that's also a pinned comment. Anything else, Sarah?
That's it. So let's get to some of these super chats of people who will now be eligible.
Love it, because again, they're flying in.
Flying in.
13 so far and counting. Let's start from the top. Hawaiian says, did you see the KVN response to the Ed Reed criticism.
Ooh.
I have not.
I have not. I will look that up right now.
I assume that is on his Yahoo Sports podcast, and
Oh,
don't
so
think
not on
it's gone
Twitter.
anywhere yet.
Okay.
So we'll have to get back to that. Dream says, so Tennessee is willing to help Kansas City's three-peat, but wouldn't help Baltimore get over the hump when they tried to trade for Henry last year, sort of what Sarah referenced earlier. Kelsey Brooks, thank you for your super chat donation. I know a Kelsey Brooks. Is this Baltimore's Kelsey Brooks, a.k.a. the girl I've been on a date with? Kelsey, is that you?
What?
Yeah, true story. I mean, there's probably a lot of Kelsey Brooks out there, but what's up, Kelsey? If you're went on a couple dates a few years ago, I'm not sure if that's her or not, but David says, starting to get a bit anxious. Ravens need to make a trade already. You got 2 weeks, David. You got 2 weeks. November 5th.
November 5th. Yep.
So 2 weeks from yesterday, 13 days if you want to be specific. DMV Nation just always dropping us super chat donations. You guys are all now eligible, by the way. We're going to pick a winner at the end randomly based on how we're feeling, basically. And by the way, there's going to be 7 more of these opportunities after today, so don't be worried if you don't get picked today. Benjamin says, do you think the defense troubles are fixable? That is a loaded question. But
I do. I think they are. I mean, I think a defensive trade would help, which we'll get into in a minute. I just think that with the trade and the talent that you have, they're fixable. They're fixable. They got to be.
And hint, hint, there's already been at least one report out there of the Ravens checking in on a potential defensive addition. Nepos, I got to get my hands on that shirt Sarah's rocking. Show that thing off. Go ahead. Let's see underneath the king.
Here we go.
That is a nice run.
Come on,
nice
now.
run. That's a nice shirt.
See, we're doing this. We're doing these giveaways. We're gonna have 8 different shows spread out over a month and a half.
Oh yeah.
But I had to go with this one first. How could I not?
Yep. So nobody freak out if you don't get chosen today. Matthew says, I think the saying for Lamar should start being hella good for a quarterback. And Asmodeus says, let's get Max Crosby and smack those Chiefs.
Oh.
That might take a couple ones, and I don't think the Ravens are willing to give those up for him.
That would be my
Not
dream.
saying it wouldn't be worth it. Not saying it wouldn't be worth it. Eileen says, yeah, it's me. What's up, Eileen? Diesel says, back on the Marlowe train, I was critical last season. I'm seeing flashes of the original Marlowe. I'm loving it. Glad I'm here and can support what you're building. I seem to be a regular here now, both in the comment section and in the super chat section, which we appreciate. So thanks for being here, Diesel. Rico from BMO says, I actually like the idea of Marlowe being a safety. Ghosty says, Sarah's 100% right. It would be arrogant to assume that the Chiefs are just going to do nothing while they're watching their competition get better this season.
That's a good way to be chosen. Sarah is 100% right. Even
though what that you enjoy that more than most, I think. Wildlife says, Mitchell. When does Keaton Mitchell come back? He will be a game changer. And as we discussed right off the top, because it was breaking news from Jeff Zrebiec right before we began our show, his return is imminent, at least the ramping up return for Keaton Mitchell, second-year player, last year's undrafted, just frenzy star that he emerged into. Habitual line stepper says, I'm not surprised the Titans did what they did last year nor this year. I'm surprised most of the flock is surprised after Henry's early season performance.
Not surprised, but not, of course Ravens fans aren't going to love it.
Bosef says, we just need our defense to tighten up and stay healthy. Evan, what's up, Evan? Y'all see the clip of Bateman and Flowers talking on the sideline after Bates' touchdown? Can't think of a more likable Ravens team than this year.
I've got that clip. We'll play it later.
And we've also got Bate talking a little bit. I was shocked that this clip hadn't gone. I had seen some quotes of it. But then late last night, as I'm just like on fumes because of 2 hours the night before, we've got another trade coming down the NFL, but it's not anything that's notable to the Ravens. It's just between the Seahawks and the Titans are sellers, Sarah. They're sending a linebacker to Seattle.
Stick a fork in them.
Oh, it's actually a linebacker for linebacker trade. That's interesting.
Oh,
Jerome Baker. Seattle sending Jerome Baker and a 4th rounder to Tennessee for Ernest Jones. So Mike McDonald active prior to the deadline. Is this week the deadline just randomly? And there's things that are happening right now. This is crazy. Anyway, thanks, TY. TY says the entire defense needs to step up. There were no lies told from Ed Reed. Oh, here we go. Ghosty, this is all we need. This is all we need, Ghosty. You're fueling our fire. Ghosty says Sarah is 200% right.
Mm-hmm.
And as
Mm-hmm.
and Asmodeus for our 20th super chat comment says, Keaton Mitchell's coming. We're about to cook. All 20 of you are now eligible for our giveaway, which you will find out about in a half an hour from right now. Partner, where to next?
Let me see here. We have we've gotten to the actual trades, right? So let's get to some news on the Browns and then some trade rumors. So at Jordan Schultz, we kind of hit on this last week, but the Browns are kind of making it official. The Browns plan to start Jameis Winston at QB versus the Ravens in week 8, now that Deshaun Watson is out for the season. So he says, my understanding is Dorian Thompson-Robinson was Watson's backup on Sunday, strictly from a game plan standpoint. You updated that. That's been made official.
Yes.
It's Jameis Winston.
Yep.
So
coming
here
up
we
on
go.
Sunday in Cleveland.
I'll be honest. It's not like anybody's fearing the Browns right now, but it is interesting. Like, we knew what they were looking like under Watson. Will Jameis be able to give them some sort of jolt? And you never want to look over an AFC North contender. So the Ravens had all that tape of Deshaun Watson, and they don't really. I mean, they have a partial game of Jameis Winston on tape. And so I'm sure the Ravens would have liked to have tape, but either way, I mean, I'm going to be predicting a Ravens win, but it'll be interesting to see if he can give him a jolt. Joe Flacco did it last year. What can Jameis do this time around?
He did. And there is a lot of familiarity on both sides, obviously, being that it's in division, but particularly with Todd Monken and Jameis Winston. Wonder if that helps out either side because of those two and their time together that they spent in Tampa Bay when Todd was there with the Bucs. And Jameis, of course, was the QB at that time. So just something to monitor as we go throughout the week. We'll have our game preview coming up on Friday at 12:30, as always, still efforting to figure out a guest this week, perhaps Tony Grossi. But speaking of the Browns, that's the team that I referenced earlier on that, at least according to Brad Stainbrook's reporting, Cleveland reporter, is one of the teams that the Ravens have been in contact with, at least initially, for potential pass rush help. And I think you guys all are familiar with za'darius Smith, a former draft pick of the Ravens, spent the opening part of his career in Baltimore. And Brad says that the Ravens, Lions, and Washington, the Commanders, are just a few of the teams who have reached out to Cleveland regarding defensive end za'darius Smith. Sarah, perhaps indicative of where they could be looking to improve upon over the next couple weeks.
Bobby, I would welcome this move. I think the Ravens on defense aren't getting it done. We just saw the super chat question. Can the Ravens fix things? If the Ravens only have one trade in them before the deadline, I know that they've put a lot of resources into the defense, cap-wise. They've obviously put a lot in on offense, draft pick-wise, and also with Lamar, with his contract. But you can't make a decision right now in week 7, week 8, of like, well, the Ravens already put resources in there. Like, the defense is the weak link right now. The offense is number 1 in the league in so many categories. And the defense has to do its part. And we all know the secondary is hurting. And quite frankly, Bobby, I'd be open to a safety move if it were out there, because I know Marcus Williams is getting paid a lot right now. The way he's playing, I honestly don't think he's going to be on the team next year unless there was some miraculous type of turnaround. So knowing that he might be in his last year, knowing Eddie Jackson is probably going to be one and done, I wouldn't mind a safety move if there's one to be had. At the same time, we know that the secondary can be helped with a pass rush. And the pass rush right now is about average across the league.
Yep.
In terms of sacks, in terms of pass rush win rate that we've been looking at from ESPN. za'darius Smith, he knows the Ravens. He would fit in seamlessly. Bobby, right now, he's in the last year of his contract. He will be an unrestricted free agent. And check this out. His base salary for this year, excuse me, his last year is next year in 2025. But his base salary is only $1.5 million.
Yeah.
So if you got him for 2 years, keep him on his current contract. Next year, he'd be $1.5 million. This year, his base salary is $1.2 million. And the Ravens only have to sign him or only have to pay for whatever weeks he has left.
Right.
So probably half that, around half that.
Right.
So he'd be around $600,000 for this year. The Ravens can afford that. So I think this would be a great pickup. I think it'd be a great pickup. Pass rush help. You need that right now. It could help the secondary. So I'm all for this. If EDC's calling, I like that he's doing that. I just want to hear something come through before November 5th, whether it's on Z Smith or somebody else.
He'll be 33, za'darius will be next September. He's got 4 sacks through 7 games, 18 total tackles, 3 of which were for loss, 5 quarterback hits, and somebody that obviously, as a former 4th rounder who spent the beginning of his career in Baltimore, has a lot of familiarity with the organization. And it was just a couple years ago, Sarah, that until the 11th hour, a reuniting was thought to be taking place between these two parties.
Right.
So all that to keep in mind over the next couple of weeks. We'll see if there's any more buzz. And there's been a lot of buzz, including about Cooper Kupp, like you mentioned earlier on in the show, former Super Bowl MVP, a current Rams wide receiver. Diana Rossini's reporting that multiple teams have called the Rams have called multiple teams. So they're openly shopping him.
They're shopping him. Yep.
They're shopping him. And the Rams have indicated a willingness to take on some of the 2024 salary of Cooper's and are seeking a 2nd-round pick in exchange. So one of the many that we'll be watching over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Now, Bobby, I'm seeing in the chat, like people are saying, so we're only looking for defense. No, that's my preference right now. Cooper Kupp, would I hate it? Absolutely not. Would I hate it at a 2nd-round pick? Absolutely.
And the Ravens would too.
No, listen, think of this. There's no way the Rams are getting that. Like, nice try. Nice try. DeAndre Hopkins and the Chiefs and the Titans just set the market. D-Hop is only 1 year older. So maybe you could make a case that Cooper could get more, but then you look at the missed games. Yep. Cooper's missed 18 games over the last 3 seasons. D-Hop's only missed 8. He's been more available, even though he's a year older. And so listen, I've said I'm here for depth. If Bateman or Zay, like we just had a scare with Zay, right? Like he went out after what looked like a bit of an ankle sprain, but he came back. I personally doubt that he'll be practicing today. We'll get a practice report. But if that became serious, like where's your depth?
Yeah.
And Cooper Kupp, with his age and his availability, yeah, he'd be a fit because the Ravens wouldn't have to rely on him the way the Rams have. So you could potentially keep him healthy. You have depth. You've got a guy that's played in the playoffs. It would be great. But I am not doing that for a 2nd-round pick. If D-Hop just went for a 5th-round pick, but a conditional 4th, that to me is more the market. So you get Cooper Kupp for a 5th-round pick? I'm here for that. Other guys I'd be here for, Clowney. I could see a Jadeveon Clowney reunion. His base salary right now is 1.2. So the Ravens have to pay about half that. So I could see Clowney coming back. Uchi, I don't know. Like I said, a safety. I don't know who's available safety-wise. But like I said, if I had to choose between Cooper Kupp, Bobby, here, let me say this. If you had to choose between Cooper Kupp and there's no reports that the Ravens have called, say like you 5th-round pick for either Cooper Kupp or za'darius Smith, and I'll ask the live chat the same thing. Which one would you do?
Say it one more time. 5th-round pick for
5th-round pick, maybe conditional 4th. Who would you give it for? Cooper Kupp or za'darius Smith? Just those two. Putting those two head to head.
The latter. Za'darius.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whoa! Look at that super chat.
I was going to say we got to get caught up on super chats, but live chat answer that as well. That Sarah just posed. But let's get caught up on super chats. We have also Rashod Bateman conversation and more national reaction, and we've only got 20 minutes to do so. Monica, thank you for your donation. By the way, 28 of you have thrown in super chat donations, meaning all 28 of you are now eligible for our homage t-shirt giveaway, much like the one that Sarah's rocking right now. Monica says Lamar and Derek are on fire. Loved listening to Ed Reed's take. Sarah, you are cooking. And your fire is too behind you. Tila says a receiver would be, quote, okay, but our defense needs help more, in my opinion. I was already going to send a super chat this week. Anyway, we appreciate you, Tila. Never misses a show. New Beginning Kennel and Loft says Sarah is always, I assume, always right. Let's keep Marlo and Ronnie for life. True Ravens. Chef Trez, we have extra compensatory picks and a weak secondary. EDC worked the phones. A championship offense needs a championship defense. Flacco agrees with Sarah. Of course, you got to get that in there, don't you, Trez, from yesterday's show. Trennan writes, I'm happy with young receiving, the young receiving core. The O-line is okay. Yes, it is, particularly with where it had been just over a month ago. Prince says, how do you guys feel about Myles Garrett? In-division trade would be ludicrous. Wow, I'm just seeing the red chat. What the? Asmodeus says, I think you're muted too. Asmodeus says, this deserves a super chat. My boy Garrett said, get L'Jarius Sneed. Former Chief has a bone to pick and knows the system. Currently a Titan. The stars align. Well, the Titans are getting rid of everybody, so why not? How about this? I think we've only received maybe once or twice in the past a red, Sarah, I know you're a color-coded gal. Kim McIntosh just dropped a $100 donation and says, love your show. Remember me, Bobby, during Preakness weekend in the blue convertible when you got off to 70 onto Marriottsville Road. I do, Kim, because I was in my Bobby Baltimore Bronco with the decal on the back. And I was like, who is tailing me like this? Who is up on my you-know-what? And I was about to like turn around at the light and be like, hey, what are you doing? And Kim pulls up right on my left and she says, hey, love the show, and that was awesome. Kim, thank you so much for your donation. I was on my way out to play Waverly Woods golf that day. So, Kim, we appreciate you. That's awesome. Rico says, trade for Clowney, Cup, and Jamal Adams.
He wants it all. He doesn't want to choose. He won't give them all to me. All right here.
BG says, throwing my name in. Cup is 31. He's been hurt every year, at least for the last 3. Low pick. Sarah's 300% right. Put me in there. You guys are unreal. Wildlife Wale says, I'm not against O-line depth. And there you have it. There are now 31 of you eligible. And you guys are fantastic. Let's talk Bateman.
Let's do.
And let's talk more Ravens wide receivers. By the way, you guys are fantastic. I did see one chat earlier on, and people were like, well, where is this? If we don't win, where is this money going towards? That does go to me and Sarah. YouTube takes a cut, but it does go to us for those of you who are wondering. It's not going to a brand sponsor. It's not going to YouTube. At least a portion of it is. But that is going to us. So hopefully in your mind, it's either like, all right, I'm either going to go after a shirt or help out people that we spend with every single day. That maybe that's the mindset. If not, we appreciate you guys regardless. Rashod Bateman spoke with the media after the Monday night win in Tampa, and a career day for Bate, as we all know. And the Baltimore Banner, Gianna Jade, friend of the show, put up a piece about it. Here's the video before we talk about our reactions to this.
Says that me and Lamar don't have a connection, but we do, and we showed that tonight. And, I think we're doing a good job of showing that this season, and there was a lot of work put in that goes into that. And shout out to Lamar for delivering the ball. So appreciate you, 8.
Rashod, you said that you can make the big plays if you get the opportunities. Do you feel like now that you're getting those opportunities, you're showing what you always knew you could do?
I mean, I'm not going to speak on it because I didn't speak on it before. That was something that was created about me. I know what I can do. I've shown what I can do. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and keep defending myself. I'm going to just keep going out and, playing ball day in and day out. And I'm going to just let the media talk and do what they do best, create a story.
Your reaction to Bates' comments was what?
Listen, I like Angry Bate. I got on an Angry Runs t-shirt today. I like Angry Bate. I like big statements Bate. He made a big statement last Friday saying, I'm always open for Lamar and I'm going to continue to be so. Okay. And then he follows that up and it makes a big statement on the field with 4 catches for 121 yards, including the big, 50-yarder into the end zone. I like that Bate is coming back here saying, y'all say we didn't have any chemistry? Well, watch this. So I like big statement Bate. I want big statement Bate to stick around. Do I think that the media created a story out of nowhere talking about their chemistry? I do not. We saw how often he was open last year, constantly open. We saw that he and Lamar were not connecting. We saw that frequently on Monday night when Lamar was directing Bate on that deep pass where Lamar was running away from the pressure and then threw across his body and found Bate. That was one of the few times, if the only one I can currently remember in recent memory, where I saw them have quote unquote street ball chemistry. That Lamar and Mark Andrews coined that term when they said they were talking about their chemistry. They said it's street ball. I've seen it with Zay. I've seen it with Isaiah Likely. And now I've seen it with Bateman. Do I think that story was made up? No. But do I think that injuries and having other receivers and Bate not being the number one guy hurt their chemistry? Yes. But now we're starting to see it develop. So I don't care about the game of who did media make this up or no. I don't think they did. But what I care about is that he's making big statements both on and off the field. And I hope he continues because this could mean big things for the Ravens offense, Bobby, if he keeps ascending.
What I care about is this complementary duo that we continue to chat about, in Baltimore. And they're playing the way that I think a lot of us hoped they would and complementing one another. In Monday night's case being Exhibit A, Zay goes down with that ankle, or at least is uninvolved after that ankle with only one reception, and Bateman steps up. How many times has it been the other side with Zay stepping up big, right, in the last year and change? And this chart so far through week 7 certainly reflects a lot of those comments. It is raw PFF separation grade. What axis is that? Is that Y or X?
That's X.
That's X. And on the Y is the catch point and yak grade, so yards after the catch. And look at where you've circled where Bateman and Flowers are.
Mm-hmm.
And they're out in front. I mean, they're not out in front of the entire pack.
They're among the top 5 to 10 kind of category there.
Right.
In terms of separation.
And look at Bate in the yak department.
Yeah.
He's got Zay beat in that department. He's got Darius Slayton beat, Mike Evans beat in that department, Garrett Wilson, Luke McCaffrey. I mean, look at all the guys that he's gotten beat. He's got beat.
Yeah.
And so this is exactly, again, just reflective of where these two appear to be headed, and the fact that they're doing it together, I think, makes it that much sweeter. Now, speaking of together, you pulled a clip from Ravens Productions of them on the sideline, correct?
Yeah, so I love how much they're supporting each other. I absolutely love this. No, it's not competition. It's feeding each other. This is from Ravens Wired. This was after Bateman's deep touchdown catch, and Bates coming off, and he's met by many people, but this interaction is first Justin Tucker and then Zay Flowers. And let me rewind this.
Yeah, Tuck, I feel like you, baby. Yes, sir. I feel like Zay Flowers. Nah, you just snap. I need you. Nah, you. We just had to get our turn. You. We gonna take turns. You, bro. You know what you can do.
So, here's Bateman trying to be like, hey, I feel like Tucker. Tucker's had, glory moments before, right? And then Zay Flowers is there. Hey, I feel like Zay Flowers. It's like a glory moment. He hasn't had many of those. And I love that what Zay says back. No, you are you. And then Bate comes back again. He's like, well, we're us. We're us. We're going to take turns. We're going to keep taking turns. And that's exactly the right attitude. Love that interaction between these two together.
Well, there's been a lot of national media going around, of course. Everybody wants a piece of the pie here when it comes to the MVP frontrunner. And how could you not? Because the highest passer rating this season, Sarah, is owned by Lamar with a 118 flat number. Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, all south of him. Jared Goff, of course, is in the MVP conversation as well, has his Detroit Lions playing really good football. Would not surprise me to see Baltimore and Detroit meet up in New Orleans in February, but there's a lot that still needs to be done between now and then. He's got the number 1 offense, of course, in this league. He's a top 5 passer. He's a top 11 rusher, and not just among quarterbacks, among all players. I was looking that up last night. Every week that he continues to be hovering around the top 10 or top 5 in both categories just makes it more and more spectacular. Sarah, Darren Orlovsky put it into words, as he so often does really well, as he did with us back in February when we were on Radio Row working the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, in terms of just how dominant and versatile Lamar Jackson's game has become.
Lamar Jackson is currently the best quarterback in all of football.
There's nothing he can't do. I think Lamar is at a place where, so if you remember Lamar coming out of school and then his first year in the NFL, you saw, and Jaden's a little bit like this already, but you saw a really twitched up athlete. He was really twitchy, but you only saw the twitch in the open field, really, like when he was being an athlete in space. You saw Lamar take that twitch ability, which is like, his athleticism is like this.
And you didn't have on the basketball court, essentially, like the opposite.
Ever. And basketball, baseball, football, Peloton. But the 2 areas that you've seen the twitch become the primary part of the game is, one, his mind. Like he sees the field, and he thinks through the field very quickly now. And that's a little bit abnormal. It is for guys who are twitchy athletes to be twitchy thinkers. It right. Just is, he's seeing things very quickly now without playing hurried. And then the twitchiness of his arm has definitely gone up. That's why you see some of the throws where the ball is right where it needs to be. It's coming out really quickly. It's not a guided throw. That was a little bit of his early on in his career. And so, like, Dom, you could sit there and go, if you just, and I think you've said this, or maybe RC said it, like, if you just took the running, you'd be like, he's a really good player. And if you just took the throwing, you'd be like, he's a really good player. Yeah. And then you've got them both. And I think, he's fixed his flaws. He struggled against pressure. Now he's got plans versus pressure. And he's not like, I'm just going to run away. He's got a plan. So I don't think there's any part of his game that is a weakness right now.
Some high praise there from Dan Orlovsky about the leading candidate for MV3, Sarah.
It's funny, Bob, because I'm seeing a lot of videos where people will be like, well, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, but Lamar Jackson is the best football player. Like, what does that even mean? Like, he's the best football player that's playing quarterback. So what are we doing here? And so I like that they kind of asked that, and he just was like, well, what weakness does he have? What weakness does he have right now? So if you want to separate the two, go ahead and say Patrick Mahomes is the most winningest quarterback, right now. He is. He's the most winning quarterback. And but Lamar right now is what Orlovsky's right. I mean, he's not showing any weaknesses as a quarterback right now. Absolutely phenomenal. And then we'll skip some of these videos, Bobby, because I know we're on a hard deadline today. So we'll skip Nick Wright, but I do want to get.
And you know what we should do too?
Yeah.
Before we finish up there, I think we should give people one more chance to throw in super chats.
Okay.
Because in less than 10 minutes from right now, we're going to pick our winner for today's homage shirt. And I just want to rip through the last few super chats here and give people a chance one final time to drop in a super chat, like the video, subscribe to the channel, which will make you eligible for one of the shirts from homage, like a one that Sarah's wearing right now. And we will, of course, communicate that. Yeah.
Oh, are you going to do that right now? Are you going to run through them?
Do you want me to?
Go ahead. I thought you were just giving them a final chance to write in. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think both was what I was thinking. So Captain Hard, says Marshawn Lattimore, need that to happen. Wildlife says, this is my first time catching the show live, and I've been watching for years. Sarah is always right, especially about rooting for Flacco. Habitual Line Stepper says, question for the flock. If we're going to give a 4th rounder for pass rush, why not Cam Jordan? If any team would help If any team would help us, it should be the one hosting the Super Bowl, which New Orleans is. Benjamin says EDC's looking great with Hill and Bateman's extensions. And Austin, I don't always make the live shows, but I wanted to say hi from Western Colorado. Thanks for creating a nationwide and international Ravens community. That's awesome, Austin.
Love it. I grew up
Appreciate
in
you
Colorado
for being with
Springs. I'm
us.
very curious where.
Yeah. Heck
go
yeah.
ahead.
My sister's in Denver. I've got to make it out there for sure.
Beautiful.
She also says that there's a flock contingent out there as well in downtown Denver. And Jeremy says Lamar has a higher ceiling than any QB ever. 37 of you guys have dropped in Super Chat donations. We really appreciate it. Our giveaway will be coming up in a few minutes.
All right, so I just wanted to get to this video after Orlovsky saying Lamar has no weaknesses right now. Okay, these are snapshots in week 7 of the NFL. Evan Cohen on ESPN Radio had this to say about Lamar.
Entirety of Lamar Jackson's career, really since he came out of college, and there were those who thought he should be a wide receiver instead of a quarterback, which is just utterly ridiculous. There has been a perception that he's an insane runner that can also pass at times. Let's be real clear about something. Lamar Jackson is an elite passer of the football. He is a pass-first quarterback. He's always been that way, and he's that way now. And he's better at passing than almost every quarterback outside of Mahomes and some others in the league. He also has the ability to run. He is not a running back, he's not a wide receiver, and he's not even a running quarterback. He's a passing quarterback that has the ability to run. And at some point, people have to get it through their heads that the running is the add-on, is the icing on the cake for this guy, cherry on top, whatever cliche you want to use. He is an elite passer of the football. When you go 17 of 22 and you throw 5 touchdowns against Todd Bowles' defense, understand something. This guy is a pass-first quarterback, and he's dominating the opposition in doing so. Enough with the running conversation. Does he have an ability to run? Yeah. That's not what he is. I've had enough of people criticizing him for like not being a good passer.
No, you said something right now. You said like he's as good a passer as anybody in the NFL this side of Mahomes and some others. I'm asking you, who are the others?
Okay,
who are the others?
Right. So
because there ain't no others.
Then that's fine.
like if you want to put Patrick Mahomes in a separate category,
always
cool.
do, yeah.
But I'm not finna sit here and say that Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or Jordan Love or any of these other quarterbacks are better passers than Lamar Jackson.
Good. That's what I was looking for.
That's ridiculous.
That's what I was looking for.
Bobby, I'll just say this. I think Evan is correct in saying that Lamar is an elite passer. But I do think he's downplaying Lamar's running ability. And the reverse happens more often than what he's doing. He's doing the reverse of what other people say. Lamar is the best running quarterback in the history of the NFL. He is the best running quarterback in the history of the NFL. He's already number 2 all time. And he's catching up to Vic fast in way fewer games. So we don't need to downplay his ability to run to also say that he's an elite passer. So I get his point. I get where he's going. So many people look that he's like the best running quarterback of all time. And so they automatically assume he can't pass, or it's because of the way the Ravens have used him in the past that they haven't shown that he can be a pass first quarterback. But he just kept saying he's an elite passer with an ability to run. It's more than that. So let's not downplay his ability to run to push up his ability to pass, just like you don't want the reverse happening. Like he's literally elite at both.
Point is, everybody's talking about him, right? And you're starting to see just this more and more support for him in all angles. And there's going to be more national reaction that we just aren't able to get to today that we will try to fit in throughout the next couple of days. We've got over 2,400 of you concurrently with us. Some are asking that they're tuning in through Twitter, but they want to enter the giveaway contest. We're going to do 7 more of these, 7 more shows over the course of the next month with these homage giveaway opportunities. And so all I'll say is if you want to be eligible, you have to be on YouTube in order to drop in a super chat donation, which
and you have
39.
to subscribe to the channel, which is one of the
deliverables.
The deliverables.
Yep. So again, we've been we're pleased to be working with Homage. You have to subscribe to the Vault, like this video. You can leave a super chat comment and click on the link that we have as a pinned comment. It's also at the top of the show notes, and those 3 things will allow you to be eligible. Sarah, we have 39 contestants. Lady Laura just dropped one in, says, love you guys as always. It was a good show. And Isaiah says, rather keep this year's offense or last year's defense.
Well, this year's offense, because it didn't pan out into a Super Bowl, so we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Time will tell. Yeah. But boy, it felt like a complete team. It feels incomplete right now, even though they're 5-2 and have ripped off 5 straight wins. We got to pick.
Well, real quick, the last piece of news, we'll skip all the other quick hits. We can visit them tomorrow. Arthur Millette was activated from injury reserve yesterday, so he is on that active roster. And the Ravens released Josh Ross to get him on. Remember, they just re-signed Welsh, and so that also may have that impact. But Arthur Millette now active on the 53-man roster. Okay, now let's pick.
So my thing is this. We talked about this prior.
Right.
We're not going to do it randomized, meaning it's going to be up to you and me, and we're going to decide together.
Right.
I'm of the belief that it should not be
the highest paid.
Exactly.
I was going to say the same thing.
I think that a fair way of looking at this is looking at the contents of the Super Chat comment.
Yes.
And again, this is the first of 8. Okay, so 7 more after today if you don't win today. And there is no requirement for amount.
Correct.
It can be $1.99, which I believe is the bottom barrel for Super Chat donations.
And just so you guys know, we can't do it randomly because you guys have to email us. Like we can't get a hold of you. You have to email us. So that's why we're making a decision and then asking you guys to email us because it's hard to get a hold of you via YouTube here.
Another one.
Can I narrow it down to 2? Can I narrow it down for 2 for you to decide?
We do. We just have to. Vera is our 40th contestant. Lamar is the best hands down, and I feel we have the best duo threat with the King. What are your 2?
I wanted to do Diesel Doctor and Habitual Line Stepper. Habitual, I thought, had 2 good substantive Super Chats. So that's why I put him in there. Diesel Doctor, if you'll remember, was early on. And he said, back on the Marlowe train, I was critical last season. I'm seeing flashes of the original Marlowe. I'm loving it. And then gave his support to the show. But I like it when people are like, hey, I was wrong. I try to do the same thing. Hey, I was wrong. So that's why I put Diesel Doctor in there. I put Habitual in there because I thought he had 2 good ones. He said the first one was that he wasn't surprised by the Titans trade. And then he came back with the second solid Super Chat, which was asking people if you're going to give up a 4th, why not Cam Jordan? So he helped create more discussion in the live chat. So I would narrow it down to those 2.
Okay. And obviously it goes without saying, everybody we appreciate. Kim dropping in our 2nd or 3rd ever $100 Super Chat donation is just like, that's just like super, super kind. You guys are all very, very kind.
Here's one more, and it's funny. It has a political joke. First of all, I grew up in a middle-class family. Second, let's go Ravens.
Elon Chase.
There we
Appreciate
go.
that. Appreciate that. So, okay, so you're thinking, and then maybe we could go back and forth too. Like the next episode, I'll pick 2 and have you narrow it down.
Sure, we could do that.
But in this case, I'm going to go with something that I think you and I try to often do on this show, and that is hold ourselves accountable. We hold others accountable. We hold players and coaches accountable, but we hold ourselves accountable as well, whether it be via receipts, whether it be looking back at past things we've said, whatever it is. And it sounds to me as if Diesel Doctor is doing a little bit of that with Marlon Humphrey's play this year.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that. So
Diesel Doctor's the winner.
Candidate. That would be my selection.
Okay, so Diesel Doctor is the winner. Diesel Doctor, email us, BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com, and then verify that you are subscribed to the page and liked the channel and clicked on the link. Tila says that she thinks that the name should be put in a hat. Let me ask you this, Tila, because I'm happy to change this for the future. If we put names in a hat and drew, Bobby, how do we reach out to people via YouTube? Because it's not letting me like click on people's names, you know what I mean, and interact with them.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure out. We're open to this. This is the first of 8, like we said. We're going to have to figure out the whole outreach process if we don't just do it the way we're doing it. But I kind of like the fact that you and I get to pick and we get to talk about why we do. But we can talk about that another time. And looks like we just got a 41st contestant. Oh, that was Elon. Okay. So 41 of you, we're happy to like retool and rethink about that. So if you have any suggestions in terms of what would make that a more streamlined process, again, BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. For now, Diesel Doctor, hit us up, verify those things that you need, like you see in the pinned comment, and we'll revisit this. So
we'll do some research on finding out a way to make it randomized. But today it was our choice based off of the comment. Diesel Doctor, you are the winner. Email us at BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com, and we will get this all set up.
We appreciate you guys for being here. We appreciate, obviously, Homage for the opportunity to partner up. And all 2,500 plus of you who joined us on this Wednesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. A boatload of news, some of which off the top we didn't even have planned, including the return of Keaton Mitchell at some point in the near future. Another AFC Offensive Player of the Week honor for a Raven, which they've earned 4 straight weeks this year. I should say this week it's Lamar. Last week was Derek. Before that it was Lamar. And before that it was Derek. So lots to get to, of course, before the week is over. We will start to take a look ahead at what Cleveland is bringing. Asmodeus is dropping in an 11th hour super chat donation as well with a gather the names, draw the name,
announce the next stream. Good idea. That's
right.
The way to do it.
All right.
Asmodeus could have won with that.
I love it. More to come. More to come.
So we will announce it the next time. Okay.
You guys are the best. Please like the video on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our live content.
Thank you
to Sarah Ellison. Yeah, thanks to everybody. You guys are awesome. And of course, we'll have Mar in 23 hours from right now with a Thursday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. As always, on your way out, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell if you haven't already done so. And for Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trotsett signing off from this Wednesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. As always, thanks for being with us inside the vault.